This is such a beautiful evening and a beautiful event, and I am so very honored and humbled to be here and to be your speaker tonight. And just very, very, very heartfelt thank you to be here at Dhammakaya International Meditation Center, celebrating Vesak Day, the Lord Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and passing to nirvana. So I've been asked to give a talk on why is meditation important in today's world. And as we celebrate Vesak Day to honor Buddha's gift to the world in the form of meditation as a path to enlightenment, I think it's helpful to just understand not the concept of enlightenment, we know that from our experience, but just the word itself. The word itself means light within. But how do we access that light? How does that light change us? So I'm just going to start with a tiny little story here, and this is spoken of in very different cultures in different ways, but I'm going to tell a story with a little boy and an elder, and the little boy is speaking about his inner world, and he describes his inner world as being governed by two tigers, and there was one tiger that is full of happiness and joy and love and compassion, and behaves from that space, and another tiger that is full of anxiety and stress and hate and judgment. And the little boy wants to know which tiger wins, which tiger is able to take care of over his inner world. And so he asks the elder, and the elder says, well, that's easy. It's the one that you feed. So I'd like to put this in a little bit of context. My specialty is in psychophysiology, or how the science of how our bodies and minds change through transformation. And the truth is that every moment of every day we're transforming, whether we know it or not, and whether we like it or not, and actually whether it's a good transformation or not. We are always changing. As humans, we are systems of adaptation. That means we change to every moment's experience. Every moment's experience carries an imprint on our whole body and brain and psyche and soul. And then every imprint, the more often we have those imprints, the better we get at living up to those imprints, whether it's good or bad. So that's the first piece. The second piece is that every single one of us, deep inside of us, has a point of peace, a point of light deep within us that can form us, can transform us. It can transform us personally. It can transform us relationally. It can transform us on a worldly level. And the problem is that most people have no idea how to access that point of peace and light, and in fact do the opposite. By the digital overload, by our world every moment of every day, by our fast-paced world, 24/7 activation of inner chaos that many people in our world experience, are just adapting to that. We're just adapting to more and more inner chaos and more of a chaotic feeling within. And because our world is becoming so much more full of those moments of stress and those moments of anxiety, and not with any break out of our whole day, moments of our day, it is now up to us, more than maybe any other time in human history, that we have to be intentional about creating those moments of calm. We need to be intentional about creating those moments of coming back to our center, coming back to that place of peace. Because if we don't, then we're just, our bodies and our brains and our worlds and our relationships are going to transform into those state of chaos. So how do we do that? One vision I have is my husband and I were thinking about buying some land in a very, very remote part of Hawaii, and we were trying to go through it was very, 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 very dense jungle, and we were trying to get to the middle of this piece of property, and we couldn't, it was so dense that we couldn't get it. We were climbing through, and it was dark, and I would lose him, and he would lose me. And to me, that's the analogy of so many of our inner worlds. And what meditation does is it provides that path. It cuts out the path that we have to be able to reach that center and to be able to reach that light. So meditation changes us personally. It's our own path to enlightenment. It leads us to that point of light, to the love and the peace and compassion deep within us. But when we begin to change, we actually begin to change the people around us as well. Research has shown that when we change, we actually change some of our biochemicals in our body that actually change the biochemicals in the people's bodies around us just by our presence. And pretty soon the people around us begin to transform. And then also on a global level, when we get enough people working at a certain level of what we call coherence or energetic vibrations, there's actually research out there right now that is showing global coherence patterns change when you have a whole group of people meditating in a certain way, with a certain intent of loving kindness for other people. So our whole world begins to change. So if we have enough people coming to that inner peace, love, and compassion, we begin to change ourselves, we begin to change our relationships, we begin to change our world. But it takes intention, it takes practice. It's not something that just happens. We mold to our experience, and the more we have that experience of meditation, the more we have that experience of tapping into that inner light, tapping into that place of peace, place of center, the more we transform out and the more our whole world begins to change. So back to the initial question, why is meditation important in today's world? I would argue that it's important in today's world because today's world is so full of the opposite of the chaos and of the fast pace that if we don't, we're going to devolve into that place. So the outer road to peace, love, and compassion will follow the inner road. And we might not be able to survive if we don't take that inner road. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Elaine.